truthfully, you're going to have to turn me down if your boss around. Be advised. Hey y'all, I'm Jenn. I'm from Oakland and I'm an androgynous, black, lesbian feminist and a lover of all black people.
This is Daren. I'm an asexual novelist, researcher, and bona fide comic book fanatic from the widest part of Southern California.
Orange County. We're queer millennials with 3 kids and nearly 20 years of marriage.
This is a podcast about the realities of blackness, adulting, and relationships.
This is That Black Couple. Hello.
Hello.
Oh my gosh, we're back. We had COVID and we're back now.
COVID is fun.
Our 16-year-old brought COVID into our house and I successfully avoided it and you didn't. You got really sick.
Lost my voice.
Lost your voice. And so we couldn't record the podcast for 2 weeks.
Yay.
Woo. Right before the election too.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
And I will say this, I'm kind of annoyed by that because we had a really great episode planned. That was like a nice run up to the election.
Yeah, it was.
What's really going on, make sure we understand the stakes and all that stuff. And then we missed it.
And then we missed it because COVID and a 16-year-old.
Mm-hmm.
Well, we're back now.
Yeah.
It's season 7, episode 6, and we're calling this Black Women Told Y'all, aka the election results.
Because black women did tell y'all.
We told y'all. This is episode 6 of season 7. This is episode 6 of season. This is a lot of. It's a lot of. Okay. This is episode 6 of season 7 of That Black Couple. We are still, if not, we need more than ever water and kombucha.
You better make sure you drink that water while it's clean.
Flush everything out of there.
While the water's clean, drink it now.
Drink. Oh my God, that's not funny.
It's not supposed to be funny. I'm telling the truth. You better drink that water.
Oh God.
You better stockpile it in your basement.
Become a prepper?
Hey.
Oh my God. Have a seat. This is That Black Couple. I'm Jenn.
I'm Daren.
Before we get started, make sure you follow us on Threads and Instagram at That BLK Couple, on Facebook at That Black Couple, and look us up on the internets at www.thatblackcouple.com.
And you can find our podcast episodes everywhere. We're everywhere. If podcasts are streamed there, you can find us there. That includes Pandora. It includes SoundCloud.
Why you got to bring up Pandora?
Because I just want y'all to know, right? Like, sometimes you might want to switch it up. You might want to say, I listen on Apple Podcasts, but what about Spotify this time? You know, what about Amazon? Oh, wait, Pandora is a thing. Let me switch back over there and see what they're doing over there on Pandora.
Pandora is not a thing.
We're everywhere. And if you want to listen to us multiple times, listen on different platforms. That's where you find us.
Mm-hmm. I move for us to never mention Pandora again.
This might be the last time.
Thank you.
I'm making no promises.
Thank you. Do you want to get started with this episode about black women telling y'all?
You know what? It's so overdue. I'm ready to jump in.
All right. First things first. How we get here, nigga? I'll start. Tuesday, November 5th. It was a dark and stormy day. Y'all thought that Kamala Harris was going to beat Donald Trump. And I knew she wouldn't. A, because she a cop. B, because she a black woman cop. And when they said that she was going to run, I said, oh, that's when they elected Donald Trump. Why? Because don't nobody like black women. People, I don't know how many times I have to explain that everybody hates. Malcolm X told y'all, y'all don't like us. Y'all don't like us. Y'all don't like us. Y'all don't like us. And listen, I'm saying, I want to be clear. I'm saying this as somebody who did not vote for Kamala Harris, who could never bring themselves to vote for Kamala Harris. I grew up in California, and when she was Attorney General, I don't like her policy. I don't like how anti-black she is. I don't fuck with her generally. However, was she a better choice for all of y'all 70-something million peoples? Yeah, she was. All y'all Democrats. Yeah, I'm a socialist. So this is just me being a political strategist and a bystander saying, what the fuck, y'all? Like, don't nobody like black women. Okay. And she had 107 days to convince people to fall in love with a black woman. And it was impossible. It was impossible. But I think that people thought that because Trump is so disgusting, so vile, so embarrassing as a human, not an American, a human being, that of course she would win. So I'm gonna give y'all some theories and stuff later on. I don't want to do too much analysis right now.
Don't go too deep yet.
I'm gonna do too much analysis right now. But I'm just gonna say I knew that was never gonna work.
Mm-hmm.
But I had hope for y'all.
I mean, as a quick initial gut reaction to everything, I think going into election night, a lot of people were like, I just don't want to believe. I don't want to believe that Trump could be president again after the presidency that he had, after everything that we've gone through, after everything that we've seen about him, about how much we know about him as a person, as an individual, what his history is, his family, everything that he's done, the things that he's been convicted of, the things that have come out in a court of law, all of the things that he's done, all of the debt that he owes. I think everyone was just like, I just don't even want to believe that could be a thing that could happen in the modern age. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And then America said, hold my beer.
Hold my beer.
We can do a lot of things. This is America. We can do whatever we want.
America didn't say it.
And
we'll analyze that.
And we'll get there. We'll get there.
We'll get there.
We'll get to who said it.
We'll get there.
But I think honestly, I think that's the feeling a lot of people had coming in. Like, I just don't even want to believe that could happen. And then it happened and people were like, wow.
And that's, you know what? That's what we need to talk about. That people who were like, wow. They said wow in 2016. And black folks was like, what you wowing about? Mm-hmm. And I'm just tired. I'm tired of white people being shocked by the people they sit next to at home on the couch all the time. They shocked by the people they hang out with at the grocery store and go fishing with. How are you shocked? You done heard that motherfucker say racist shit all the damn time. You done heard that woman in her Lululemon yoga pants talk about the sketchy neighborhoods that she doesn't want to go to. You know who them people are. Mm-hmm. You not shocked by Karen and Chad. They not shocking you. It ain't no wow. Anyway, we're gonna talk about it.
It's about to be a lit episode. I'm low key excited for this.
Black women told y'all.
This podcast is supported by generous donations from our patrons and listeners. Become a supporter today by heading to www.patreon.com/othercombosmedia.
You can stream the show on iTunes, Spotify, Stitcher, Google Podcasts, and SoundCloud. When you listen, please consider hitting that heart button, sharing, giving us a 5-star rating, and leaving some dope comments. This helps us with our page rankings and gets more listeners for the show. Thank you so much.
And we're back.
We're back.
And it's time for the conversation.
How exciting.
Let's just go right into it. Let's just talk about what happened. Right. So we was there. We was watching the results. And
we was there. We was watching the results. That's how we started it off.
And they was bad.
And it was bad. Wait, let's talk about how bad it was, because at some point we realized, wait, this woman about to get trounced.
Listen.
When you watch it and you like, oh, you know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. Like, it got real bad. It got real bad.
I'm gonna just say it. I'm gonna just be real honest with you.
Okay.
We was watching MSNBC. For one, because we're not watching Fox because I care about my mental health and sanity way too much. I can't watch regular news because that shit is bone dry. Mm-hmm. And to be honest, watching MSNBC on nights like this, I know it's about to be all type of shit popping off.
Also, Joy Reid. I just love Joy Reid. I love Joy Reid. I prefer to watch stations that have black women who are black women.
True.
And that and
she black.
Yeah, she black.
And so we was watching.
Yeah.
And there was a point I remember you looked at me and you said something to the effect of, they're really trying to just keep a positive spin and narrative,
but the data not supporting
as even as everything that's coming in was like wah wah.
Wah.
They're like,
wah.
oh well,
wah.
And it was like, it's not working, y'all. We see it.
Yeah, we saw the numbers coming in.
We see everything.
Steve Kornacki was like, in these districts, sometimes the early votes are no, bro. No, bro. We see it. It's red surrounding all those blue locations, and we can see that that's like 90% of the state in a swing state.
He kept saying these are the bellwether ones. Usually, what Democrats can expect is this. And if they get this, then they know it's a good night.
And then
every
5
time
seconds
it
later,
was
it'd
not
be the
that.
opposite of that. Yep. every time.
And I was like, yo.
And then he started showing the trend that in every typically blue area, that was still the percentage of the vote that Kamala Harris was getting was still lower than Joe Biden.
Mm-hmm.
And that's when I realized, oh, y'all did do the racist thing.
Mm-hmm.
Because what this vote revealed was that even people who would typically go for a Democratic candidate couldn't bring themselves to go for this Democratic candidate.
Yep.
When you look at the map of New York State, New York, one of the most liberal states in the entire country.
But honestly, not even just New York State. You can look at just Manhattan.
Yes. Yes.
I was like, damn.
And the amount of red that emerged in this particular election says to me, oh, y'all could not bring yourself to vote for a black woman. People who were very comfortable voting for Obama, very comfortable voting for Joe Biden, and some of them really comfortable voting for Hillary Clinton, could not bring themselves to vote for Kamala Harris.
Which again is wild when you consider who both Hillary Clinton and Kamala were running against. Hillary Clinton, at least in that instance, we didn't know Donald Trump.
We didn't know what was in store yet.
He had never enacted any policy.
That's right.
We didn't see him actually in action.
Yeah.
In government.
Yeah.
But
now we know.
Y'all, he literally killed y'all.
Yeah.
During COVID, he killed
hundreds of
everyone.
thousands of Americans.
He killed them all.
With denying that COVID was a thing. Told people to drink bleach. He said, can you just drink Lysol, or can we just treat that by drinking disinfectant? And people were like, that makes sense. And
people said, but you know what? Eggs cost a lot right now.
Herman Cain was talking shit about COVID, then died from COVID.
It's crazy. It's just, and I think that's the thing about it. Like I said, people I think went into election night thinking there's no way that we could go back to that lunacy. There's no, it was so bad. It was so terrible the whole time for all of us. There's
not
no
for
way.
all of us. And the thing is that, for a lot of young white men, this was their time to reclaim their country, right? Mm-hmm. Like a lot of young white male Gen Zers, really young voters who, some of them for the first time, this is their first time voting, voted for Donald Trump because he made them feel good about themselves. These are the white male incel population. Do you know what incel means?
No.
Okay, I would like to share this because I don't think that people know what incel means. Incel, I looked it up the other day. I said, what does incel mean? It means involuntarily celibate. Incel stands for involuntarily celibate. They are called involuntary celibates.
I mean, I knew that was a part of how people define incels. I didn't understand that was the name.
That's the actual name. It's all the people who are mad that people will not have sex with them.
It's true.
Those people voted for Donald Trump. Okay. Mm-hmm. And Gen X, white men, Gen Xers, the ones whose parents went to the Vietnam War and came back with Agent Orange. The people who are part of what they call the forgotten generation because they're almost never depicted in media, 65 million of them. Overwhelmingly, that generation, which constituted over a third of the overall vote, they voted for Donald Trump. And that was important, right? They're the only generation, Gen X was the only generation to overwhelmingly vote for Donald Trump. Mm-hmm. Every other generation, even those over 65, the older people who were told, oh, they're so racist, they didn't even vote for Donald Trump.
Which I will say, as a small kind of win, it really showed that they actually got the messaging. Yeah. That Joe Biden and the Democrats had done a lot of work to bring down the prescription prices. Right. And that was meaningful to them. But as a small win.
But Gen X white men and Gen Z white men, incels, were like, we don't care. We're taking back our country. And I think, people are talking about what Latinx men did because 53% of them, or more voted for Donald Trump. But we have to remember that they only constituted 5% of the overall vote. So really, it was a drop in the bucket. I've heard that people are even talking about indigenous Americans now when it's like, what?
Like, stop.
Like, what is the population of indigenous Americans?
They're not swinging any
They're
election.
not swinging the election.
Stop.
Right? Talking about Latinx voters who make up 11% of the overall vote and even black men, 6% of the overall vote, and so 70% of black men voted for Kamala Harris. That 20% had no real impact. You know who did? White men White men who voted overwhelmingly for Donald Trump and make up 31% of the overall vote. You know who else? You know who else? You know who else?
Who else?
White women.
Oh.
White women. White women who voted 52%. Somehow, again, the same percentage from 2016. The same 52%.
But this is the
And
uncomfortable
make up
conversation we don't want to have.
37% of the overall vote. That's what I don't understand how anyone is talking about this when they can't just say out of their mouth. White people decided to re-elect Donald. This is all, by the way, from NBC exit polls as of November 9th. So the data is still coming in. People say you shouldn't believe exit polls because if anybody understands how exit polls works, it's based on self-reporting, which is highly inaccurate. It's hard to gauge if it's real, but that's why we have standard deviations and that's why we have margins of error. Also, it's close enough, right? It's one of those things you can still use. And most of the time people will actually overestimate their vote to say that they voted for the winner. So it's still helpful.
And also, I mean, the fact that it is self-reported and people are reporting that is meaningful in and of itself.
It's very meaningful.
Right.
It's
so we have
meaningful.
to keep that in mind too.
So this is what happened.
But I mean, that's the thing, and I'm glad we're having this conversation because this is the conversation that needs to be had. But it's an uncomfortable conversation that a lot of people don't want to have.
Right.
A lot of people look at all those facts and figures in a chart and they just skip over the white ones because it's almost like they're white and so they're completely absolved or everything. What we're really caring about is well, how many black people did Trump get?
And it's taken for granted. It's taken for granted. Meanwhile, they're like, oh, how did Asian people vote? If you added up black folk, Latinx folk, Asian folk, and indigenous folk, it still would constitute less of the vote of white women.
I mean, let's be real, right? Like if Kamala got 100% of the black vote
and 100% of the Latinx vote,
we would still be sitting here in
we'd be having the same conversation.
Nothing would have changed.
That's what I'm trying to explain to people.
And to be honest, like, you know, I don't think we're trying to get too deep into political theory, but there is an idea that some people will vote for just whoever they think will be the winner is so they can say they voted for the winner.
And that's how we should think about this election because what happened? Abortion was on the ballot in 10 states. It passed in 7. In some of those same states like Arizona and Michigan, they went for Donald Trump. That means that there were women, white women, who came out in places like Missouri and voted for Donald Trump for president and then tried to vote to save their own abortion rights. A president who has said himself that he is going to find a way to create a federal ban on abortion. These are people who voted split ticket.
Yeah, Arizona, they just called it. They just called the Arizona Senate race also for the Democrats.
That's what's happening all over the country. All over the country, there were people who voted for Democratic senators and they voted for Democratic issues, abortion,
Democratic ideas,
abortion, marijuana, right? Things like that. And then voted for Donald Trump. That is called split ticket voting. People don't usually do that. That's actually not common.
It's actually hard to do from a mental standpoint. You have to be very deliberate in saying, I'm not going to follow the trend. I'm going to do something different here.
That's right. And that to me is even a further exemplar that people were like, I am not going to vote for Kamala Harris. Kamala Harris sat there for weeks talking about abortion and all that she was going to do to protect it. And then you vote to enshrine abortion at the state level and vote for a president who has promised to eradicate it. What is happening in schools? What is happening in civic education where people think that you can vote for a president who wants to eradicate a right, but you can vote for it at the state level? Y'all don't know what federalism is?
I think that's the thing about it though that's interesting to me is like it really, really shows that people, number one, don't know how government works.
Yeah.
They don't understand the process, but also the fact that it would be a mistake, a long-term mistake, if Democrats saw the results of this election and said, we need to focus on different concepts and ideas.
I agree.
Because clearly all the ideas were winners.
That's what I said.
Even in Republican states, the Democratic ideas were winning.
That's right.
So it's not an idea issue. Ideas. But here's the trend. Here's the trend. You run Hillary Clinton against Donald Trump wins. You run Kamala against Donald Trump. Donald Trump wins. You run Joe Biden against Donald Trump. Joe Biden wins?
Let's think about that. What's different about
I
those?
wonder what's different because they're pretty much selling the same agenda.
I don't know.
And
I mean, people even said that Kamala Harris was Joe Biden, that she was doing the same things as
Right.
him. So, how do we...
so I wonder
I don't get that.
why people
Let's
would vote
extend it
differently.
even further, right? Barack Obama, Donald Trump was talking shit about him his entire campaign,
Yeah.
and then Hillary came after him, and they said that Hillary Clinton would just be an extension of Barack Obama. So why is it that people love Barack Obama so much? Even white women, white women loved him. They elected him twice. I don't understand. What is so different?
What's the difference here? I just the math ain't mathing for me. I don't get it.
Shoot, I'm not.
Yeah, America, we have a problem.
We have a problem.
And to me, all these elections happened, and this one I think was such a shock to, I'm gonna say it, elites, because elites are smart and they do read books and they understand how things work.
Oh yeah.
And I think a lot of elites were looking at this like,
yeah, Paul Rudd is
No
somewhere.
way.
Paul Rudd is somewhere befuddled.
right?
Yeah, Mark Cuban is thumping his head like, I don't understand what happened here.
But it's very simple.
Kamala Harris ran the exact same campaign as Barack Obama.
She literally carbon copied his campaign.
Yeah, she did. She had some of the same staffers. Yeah.
That was.
Yeah.
I mean, we haven't had any official communication on this, but basically that was the strategy: was do just what Obama did. We don't have a lot of time. We'll just do the exact same thing that he did.
Can I introduce something here?
Mm-hmm.
So I teach my students about something called the glass cliff theory.
Mm-hmm.
We've talked about people talk about glass ceilings, right? People talk about glass ceilings. Hillary Clinton was very big on that. I'm trying to break this glass ceiling, and she couldn't do it. They also have something called glass walls, right, where you are put in lateral positions and you can just look across the way and see people getting stuff that you can't get. But what we also talk about is the glass cliff theory. The glass cliff theory is when you put a woman into an opportunity that looks like a huge opportunity, but really her ass about to fall off a cliff because she's the one that you want to just save the world. And she's actually set up to fail.
Set up to fail.
And Kamala Harris was just pushed over a glass cliff, right? She was the scapegoat. She was the, hey, black girl, we need you. Please save us. You are our last hope. Right. And that my argument is simple that's probably the only way that people could even take a black woman seriously for president if she was standing at the edge of a cliff, because they are so convinced that black women are underprepared, don't have the same expertise. I had people saying that they were shocked that Kamala Harris could put sentences so well after the debate and after she went on Call Her Daddy. They were shocked that she could speak so well. You know what I'm saying? The racism is so deeply embedded in this country that there's a disbelief that a black woman could even stand in front of other world leaders and be prepared for that conversation.
Well, and it's not even, this is the part about that really is bewildering, but also so sad and so true and honestly expected. But it's not even just like that a black woman could, but a black woman that we know, that has been in front of cameras for decades.
She's not even new.
That is the sitting vice president of the country.
That was
you don't
was
think
so
she
funny.
can speak words?
This entire time to me, that was so funny. People were like, what is her policy? What is she about? I'm like, this woman has been in politics for like 30 years.
Forever.
Y'all can't Google.
But that's the thing. That's the flip side of this too that we also got to address is they can't Google because all these people voted for Donald Trump. And then after he was elected, Googled what his stances were.
Then they said, what happens if he gets rid of the Department of Education, Google? Oh, no. They don't stop covering services for my autistic children? Maybe I shouldn't have done that.
Oh, wait. Tariffs are actually something that we would have to pay for? Donald Trump said that we wouldn't. But now that the election's over, I looked it up, and it is?
I thought that the other country paid the tariffs, though. Well, I got to pay the tariffs? Oh, man.
There was a video of a reporter going, hey, why'd you vote for Trump? And it's like, oh yeah, he's going to do these tariffs and it's going to work. And he's like, I'm a business owner and it's going to be good for me. And the guy said, well, you do understand that when we institute a tariff, that means the people that you're buying things from, those goods cost more.
Yeah, the reporter literally said, oh, so you produce all your shirts, all your products in the U.S.? He said, no, they come from China. He said, so you're going to pay more. And he's like, no, I won't.
I'm going to pay less because of tariffs.
He's like, no. You'll pay less if they're produced here. You'll pay more if they're produced there.
Right.
And he was like, no, that's not it. I think you're wrong.
He was like, it's going to bring the cost down. It's like, okay, so think about it this way. if I make the shirts, he said, let's just take the countries out of it. Let's say I make the shirts, and now you're going to charge me 10% more.
Yes.
To sell the shirts to you. What am I going to do? Oh, you're going to make the shirts cost more, right? And then now you have to pay more for the shirts,
because you're the consumer, right?
So then when you then sell the final product to someone else, are you going to sell at the same price? Oh no, I'm going to make that go up. Yeah.
And he was like, "Oh,
guys,
no!"
You could see the reality meteor crashing into the side of his
He was like,
head.
"Oh no, that's simple math, and I didn't do it because I'm clouded by my own racism and misogynoir. Oh no!"
And I hate it because I'm not a Kamala fan, but I feel like you wrote the book Black Women Taught Us.
I did,
and I feel like this is a crazy textbook example of, for how long was her campaign?
107 days.
107 days. For 107 days, Kamala Harris sat there in front of microphones whenever she could get in front of one and told y'all.
Yeah.
She told y'all for 107 days.
But they couldn't hear her.
That's all she did was tell y'all.
They couldn't hear her.
They couldn't hear her. You elected Donald Trump, and all of a sudden, now y'all can see stuff.
That's right.
Now you can read things.
That's right.
Now you understand how things work.
This is a neuroscientific issue. This is a social psychological issue. This is what I've been talking about when I say that for a lot of white Americans, they can't even understand a thing unless it's a white American telling them, right? Mm-hmm. There's data to show that when it comes to politics, when it comes to important issues, a lot of white Americans don't even believe the thing unless it comes from someone who looks like them, talks like them, comes from the same place as them. They just don't even believe it or hear it. And this is what we're dealing with.
Mm-hmm.
You can find my mom and dad, aka That Black Couple, on the web at thatblackcouple.com. That Black Couple is owned and operated by Color Combos Media. If you would like to help fund our content, sign up at www.patreon.com/colorcombosmedia. Please consider giving us $5 or $10 per month to help us build our platform and grow our organization. You can also give one-time donations at www.paypal.me/colorcombosmedia. All donations are welcome.
And we're back.
And we are back.
And it's time for the reflection.
And Black women told y'all. We'll just keep saying it. Just a reminder.
But you're a Black woman, so they're not going to hear you.
That's true.
Well,
you say it.
Okay. Black women told y'all.
Thank you. Maybe they heard that one.
They might
have gotten through.
It's like a whisper.
The Barack Obama effect.
Yeah. That's true. The Barack Obama effect is like the Marge Simpson and Homer effect.
I know.
Wow. In this reflection, I want to talk about what this actually means. What does electing Donald Trump to be the president, what does that actually mean in real world terms?
That's a good idea, since people seem to not know what it means.
I mean, and it means a lot of things. It means that you have now elected someone who has been convicted on 34 felony counts to be the president. It means that you have now elected the oldest president in history.
Yeah. Isn't he 78 right now?
I don't remember. It's to the point where he shouldn't be working.
I believe he's 78. I believe that Joe Biden is 81. And it's really interesting because they would have been in high school together and everyone's acting like Joe Biden is so much older than Donald Trump.
Right. But, in the same vein, Trump can't put sentences together. So I don't know why
he danced for 45 minutes at a rally.
Right. This is who you are electing to be president, right? Real world consequences. And what does that mean practically, right? He gets to pick a cabinet. Mm-hmm. He's going to get to nominate judges, just like he did last time and fucked up our whole legal system. Mm-hmm. He's going to get to do a lot of things. Mm-hmm. And you can already see in the couple days after the election, he's already telling you who's going to be in the cabinet. Mm-hmm. His campaign advisor, Susie Wiles, is going to be his chief of staff. It's the first woman to ever have this title. Yay for, breaking through that glass ceiling, I guess. Maybe.
Racist white woman.
I don't know. But also she, I remember on election day when he was doing his speech, she was one of the people that he called up and everyone's like, who the fuck is that?
And she didn't want to stand in front of the camera?
And it's because she's basically the white woman who sits in the back, who orchestrates everything.
She's the Dick Cheney.
Yeah, she's the Dick Cheney. She's like the brainchild behind.
That's right. We have her to blame.
So his deputy chief of staff for policy is going to be Stephen Miller. That's going to go well.
Yay.
We've already seen what he can do. Representative Elise Stefanik is going to be the ambassador to the UN.
The UN hates us now.
Oh, and this is one of the best ones. Tom Homan is going to be the border czar.
Ooh, tell us about Tom Homan.
You know who Tom Homan was?
Who?
He was the one who separated families during deportations.
And what does he want to do now?
Now he in light of him going to be the new border czar, people asked him questions and said, what are you going to do? What does it look like? And he said, well, we're going to do mass deportations. And they said, well, how do you do mass deportations when like there's people who might be undocumented that are the parents, but then the child is an actual American citizen? Can you even do that? He said, yeah, of course you can do that. And they said, well, how do you do that? He said, well, you just deport the whole family.
You just deport the whole family.
You just deport the Americans.
You just deport American citizens because that's what we do under a Trump administration.
That sounds legal,
right? Just support the citizens,
and I know what you're thinking. That's illegal. That's not legal.
Not when
we
you're the president.
We have laws, but not when you're the president.
Not when you're the president.
And when the Supreme Court
told you could do whatever you want
with you.
Yeah.
Now when people
and
challenge
you have a unified Congress,
you can do whatever
you got the House and the Senate.
You can just fundamentally change what is legal and what's not legal.
It's like what John Mulvaney said. It's a horse in the hospital. Yay.
It's going to be fun times. And then the EPA head is going to be Lee Zeldin, the guy who failed winning governor of New York State.
Oh, yeah, Lee.
National Security Advisor, Florida Representative Mike Waltz.
Oh, yeah.
And then another great one. The Secretary of Homeland Security is going to be South Dakota Governor Kristi Noem. If you don't know these names, look them up. Get comfortable with them. These are going to be the people that are shaping the policy in America for the next 4 years.
I just want to bring white women into the chat really quickly.
Ooh.
And I want to bring up Susan B. Anthony.
Okay.
And how everyone loves Susan B. Anthony. There were white women who were voting this election and they were going to her grave and posting like, I voted stickers and all this stuff. And all the black women were like, why are y'all doing that? Stop that. Susan B. Anthony was a rampant racist. And they were like, what? No, she wasn't. Susan B. Anthony said that she would rather chop off her arm than stand behind black voting rights. Susan B. Anthony is Susie Wiles.
There it is.
Susan B. Anthony is all those 52% of white women who were like, not again, not on my watch. Susan B. Anthony is such an important example for us because, yes, black women told y'all. The 92% of black women who voted for Kamala Harris was telling y'all. But you know who also told y'all? White women. Like Susan B. Anthony. Like Susie Wiles. Like them 52% in 2016, they told y'all. And this 52% in 2024, they told y'all too. We have to stop pretending like white women are not dangerous. I just want to say that. It has to be really, really astounding to people that Donald Trump, the greatest misogynist, rapist, vitriolic, racist, bigotedest, xenophobicist, Naziist, fascistist president we've ever had has a chief of staff who is a white woman.
What does that say?
Come on, y'all. No? Just me?
Well, and the other thing too, right? Like there was a lot of conversation, like right in the final run up to the election, and obviously as the election results were coming in, like that America is pretty much set for the large part of who's going to vote in which direction. The way I always look at it is that Senate race, was it Senate or governor? It was the governor race, wasn't it, in North Carolina? And they had that dude, I don't even want to say, the black dude who was like literally the worst person I've ever seen.
He said he wants to go back to when women couldn't vote.
And he was the one that called himself a black Nazi.
That's right.
Like the type of stuff he was saying was just like, you are unelectable. That man got 40% of the vote.
He sure did.
And I saw that come in and I said, that's a really interesting point because that tells you 40% is the floor.
That's the floor.
You can literally be dead and 40% of people will vote for you still.
That's right. You can run down the street bucket naked. And so the conversation was all about, well, it's really the margins. It's like above that 40%, how many of those people you can get. And so many people were like, oh, what's happening in Gaza? How is that going to play? Is that going to mess up Kamala's chances? And black men seem to be interested in Trump. Is that really going to swing the vote? Is the conversation that I want us all to have for the next 4 years until the day the next person is elected president. The only conversation I want us to be having is not about what are Arab Americans going to do? What are black men going to do? Latinx folks.
I don't care. All we need to talk about is how are white men going to vote and how are white women going to vote. That's all that matters.
That's
y'all.
It.
We don't have to talk about nothing else.
We don't.
You want to know how Obama won? White people.
White women. Yep.
White women said, ooh.
They sure did. Ooh, he fine.
He kind of cute.
Ooh, he fine. Look at him in that tan suit.
He said hope and change.
Ooh,
hope and
girl,
change.
I'm getting moist.
That's how Barack Obama won.
That's right.
You want to know how Hillary Clinton lost? White women.
White women.
White women still were like, I'm going to vote for the white man.
They said, he's mean. She's mean. I don't like her. She looks like she's a little sickly. She's not that cute.
That's how it goes, y'all. None of the other stuff matters.
Nope.
It's a cute conversation point. It's nice to have these little conversations at cocktail parties and over coffee or whatever the hell, at the water cooler at work.
Yep.
All that matters is how the white people vote.
Yep.
So whoever the next candidate is, whoever you are, I hope your advisors and all your people that they're going to be like working in your offices, I hope they're listening to us right now.
I hope so.
And understand.
Send them this.
None of that shit matters.
It don't matter. Stop talking about black people.
Just figure out how you're going to get the white vote.
That's it. And black women told y'all. Ashe.
Black women told y'all. I'm going to say it to make sure. Did you actually hear it? Black women told y'all.
Ashe. Now say ashe.
Ashe.
As always, if you have questions, comments, or concerns, or you just want to tell us how great we are, email us at thatblkcouple@gmail.com. Bye.